This morning, the Muslim woman kicked off a jury for refusing to remove her veil. The judge said, "I need to see your face." Critics say that's nonsense. Is it? Plus, do demand-fed babies really do best? Does the fear of being labelled a do-gooder put you off doing good? And do you have to be bonkers to believe in astrology? We'll find out on The Right Stuff. Our special guest this morning put them together for one of the James Caan. Welcome back, sir. Living in rude health, as he said. Rude health, entrepreneur, self-made millionaire and business whiz. James shot to fame as a judge on Dragon's Den, sitting through over 1,000 pitches from Joe Public. You took the plunge with 14 of them?
Yeah, made 14 investments. Some wacky ones, some crazy ones, and actually even some profitable ones.
Oh, right. Well, profitable? Which has been the most profitable then?
You know, the one I invested in, where I think it was my first investment, where I was very passionate that in England, you know, a lot of dogs are quite fat, overweight, you know, so I invested in the dog treadmill, which has become an enormous craze now, you know.
Is it really?
Yeah, I get such a thrill now when I walk down the street and dogs are wearing Armani outfits. And I look at those and I think the treadmill works.
Have you had... Go on,
that's the question with the treadmill. Like, you take your dog for a walk, obviously the dog does its business. But if it does it on the treadmill, does it keep revisiting it?
No, because as he's running, you're there with a little bag right behind him.
Have you had a disaster amongst the 14, a ham fatter?
That was Peter Jones.
Oh, I know.
That was the one that got away, I think.
It's the one that whenever you mention it, you can see the blood drain from his face. How are ham fatter getting along, Peter?
No, the only one I kind of regret, actually, was the one that came in where this very sane, very normal-looking woman, you know, definitely from planet Earth, she came on the show and said, look, I feel in Britain today that married couples have got a real issue because they're not getting enough sleep, and the reason is because, you know, either the husband spends more time on the wife's side of the bed, or the wife kind of shimmies over to the husband, and therefore they don't get enough sleep. And dragons, I found the cure. So then she revealed this amazing invention, which was a white bedsheet with a black line in the middle.
What a great show. Is there anything you wish you'd invested in?
That one, actually.
Now, why did you rule yourself out of the den? Because you just seemed to be fitting in there really comfortably.
I honestly, I loved the show. I thought it was fantastic. Yeah. And by the time I stepped down, I'd invested in 40 companies, and I just found managing 40 businesses, it was just too much. And when I sat there and thinking of renewing, I thought, if I do another series, that means I'm probably going to do another 5 or 6 investments, because of course you can't sit in the show and not do a deal. You know, one has its reputation. And I thought, I just can't manage that many more deals. So I thought, and for those reasons, Evan, I'm out.
But you have had time to do this. Tell us about this. Start Your Business in 7 Days, your new book.
I was reading the Bible and realised that God invented the world in 7 days.
Oh, dear. I did wonder about the title. Is this 7 days hard work, or is there a day of rest at the end? It's flicking through to the back.
No, I thought there was an article last year. I was on holiday, and the Sunday Times, there was an article that said in Britain this year, nearly 350,000 businesses will fail. And I just reflected just some of the crazy ideas I saw on the den. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about is when people fail in business, it's very demoralising, and it's quite a tragic event for them. And I thought, if I could use that experience of those 1,000 people who came in to pitch to me, because we within 20 minutes could work out it's just not going to work. And I thought that I could put something together that enables people not to have 90% failure rate, but actually improve the success rate of businesses. So this is really a very clinical guide that takes the very specific experiences. So let me give you a really silly example. In Dragon's Den, I invested in something called Motor Mouse. So this is a little sports car which becomes a cordless mouse. Great idea, worked really well. But to give you an idea, when Patty and Dave were inventing that, it took them 18 months to kind of create the idea, to create the concept, to create the prototype, to get it registered. But actually, one of the easier things, I think, would have, if it was me, I'd have just gone to Toys R Us, bought a little Matchbox car, gone to the buyer and said, if I could turn that into a cordless mouse, would you be interested? And I could save 18 months of heartache, because although Motormouse, I think, is an amazingly successful concept, but what happens if the buyer said, don't want to buy it? Then they've got 18 months of money, investment,
Some of the
etc.
people you've had in there, they've spent 80, 100,000
Yeah,
pounds on
that's right.
everything they have.
That's right.
And you can see, I mean, you say 20 minutes, sometimes it looks like
3 minutes,
3
yeah.
minutes, and you think, my God, it's your everything you have has gone.
And that's really, I think, what the book is really focused about. But also, what I'm not...
Is it good enough? I mean, could Eric become a millionaire like you?
I mean, to be
if
honest
he mastered
with you,
reading.
there is a chapter dedicated to Eric in the book.
I told you.
No. I think this book is really designed not for the next Google, not for the next Facebook, but this is actually about, Mrs. Miggins in Liverpool, who possibly has created a new soup, a new recipe, a new idea. This is really to get people who've got an idea, that want to be in business, not to make millions, but even if you're making 30,000 a year and you can make 60,000 a year, just to improve your life and give you a better opportunity of having that freedom to be your own boss.
You got any questions? I know you can look at your app on my phone.
Have you got my app?
Off, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that people will get concerned about business because a lot of it is about confidence, isn't it? Of course, you have to have an idea as well that's going to work. But you also need the confidence to implement that. And we were talking yesterday about kids going to work early. What's your opinion on going to university, and what's your opinion about coming straight out of school and going into business? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I left school at 16, so didn't go straight to university, and literally left school because right from the beginning I thought that academia wasn't necessarily what I needed to get a career. I think that the concept of practical experience was far more important to me. And I always had this passion that if you were your own boss, if you ran your own business, it would just give you that sense of freedom. And clearly, it's worked out fairly well for me. So I think you can do that. But it's really interesting. Now being a parent, having my own kids, my kids said, well, Dad, you seem to have done okay. Why do I need to go to university? And I said, no, you have to go to university. You've got to get a degree. It's really important. And, they used to take the mickey saying, well, I think you've been a bit of a hypocrite because you didn't do it. So at the age of 42, I went to Harvard Business School to my degree just to show my kids that even at 42, I still thought it was important because I think better to have it than not to have it.
Because there's such a pressure on kids to go to university these days, it seems. So I did go to what was a polytechnic then, that's how long ago it was. I did go. I didn't finish but I've always had my own business, and so I've always had sort of mixed kind of thoughts on if you want to be a vet doctor, that kind of thing, you've got to have your degree. But is it right, that kids should have to go to university and get a degree?
I suppose now as a parent, when I looked back, I thought, you can't guarantee that if they go into their own, it's going to work. And what happens if it doesn't work? What have they got to fall back on?
Yeah.
And, business isn't about a good week or a good month. It's kind of the rest of your life. I think as a parent, I just felt I needed them to have a platform. So if it all went wrong, they could at least have the choice of having a normal career.
OK, I've got to jump in. I want to know about Duncan Bannatyne, but we've got to save it for another day.